Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It is November 19th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And for all intents and purposes, we really had a trading range here, but we had a two-tiered channel that I saw early on working down, and it pretty much held in play. Notice we had a break, a real quick two legs down to a new low, and then we started correcting, and it really just not much happened after that. This was a pretty slow day, afternoon, not much volume today. This afternoon looks like it was some good volume this morning, but this afternoon just not much happening. So we didn't reverse after the new low. We just corrected, and that's part of the rule. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a reversal, but a lot of times you just get a correction that lasts, you know, about at least an hour. But this really lasted all afternoon. We just kind of had a little bit of a correction and just kind of went sideways, and so wasn't much happening. And really, from the opening was right here. So really, from the opening around 8:30, you know, we stayed within a 70, maybe a 10-point range tops, which that's not a small range. It's enough to where you can get some trends from side to side. But there just wasn't much happening today. So, but let's back out, talk about the trades. If you caught a couple of these early trades, I mean, it had a downward bias until here, and then it was pretty much neutral after that. So, once we broke the trend line, made a new low, and you know, then you're expecting maybe a reversal, but just a correction that lasts about an hour or so, and that could just mean a trading range. It just means you're not trending anymore. You're just kind of consolidate, and that's good enough. So um, the price action pretty much followed out today. Most of the shorter term ones played out perfectly as well. You can see we had this one coming down a break, moved to a new low. This one coming up, close outside, moved to a new high. Then we just kind of went sideways, and we had one working down here, close outside, moved to a new low, and we actually had a couple legs down to a new low here. Then we were moving up, close outside, new high, moving down, close outside. We didn't get a new low here, but that we just found too much support across here. Um, and then was pretty much sideways after that. But you can see this one working up, had a close outside. This was like a real weak close outside, but we pushed to a new high, and then we moved down, had a close outside. We never quite got a new low on that one either. So we're finding some real pretty stout support right across that 2075 to 2077 area. Most of the time we bounce right around the 2077 area there. So, but let's back out, talk about the trades, and we'll wrap it up. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do a chart lesson tomorrow. I may use tomorrow to catch up. So I'm not sure if we'll do one tomorrow yet or not, but eventually, pretty soon, until through the spring, I'll probably go back to doing some Friday. I may still skip some, but I'll be doing some Friday chart lessons. So now that it gets dark early and the weather's not good anymore, but I'm still trying to catch up from being gone. So I may or may not do one tomorrow. We'll see. But anyway, let's talk about the trades. I probably should put this one on here. We had a trend working up. You can see that. We had a close outside, two legs up to a new high, and then we sold off. This is a nice reversal pattern. Notice how we went right through the EMA, pulled back and tested it, and you can kind of get that trend line off those first few swings there. You can see that, and this was a big bearish reversal bar. That's the kind you like to see. It went through the EMA, pulls back, tests it, and turns down, and it tests right down that trend line. This really confirmed it. That's a nice bearish bar. It's probably bigger than 2 points, our 8 tick rule. But I'm going to take this trade, and I think if you try to use a limit order, you probably could get in there right at 2 points. But you know, people ask me about that a lot. If you're new, if you're sim trading, take them. Don't worry about it if it fits the rules, because it just gives you confidence and you see how it works, and you can kind of get an idea. And if you're wrong, you know, you're wrong. But if you're trading live, and you know, you may have to try to get in this with a limit order to keep to stay within the rule. But as you get experience and you start to understand that these things work if you put everything right, and what you might have to do is just go for a little bigger profit here. If you make your stop a little bigger, then make your profit a little bigger. And you can see you could have easily gotten several points out of this one. And the first thing you want to do is look for a minimum of a measured move. And there's your first leg. So there's your second leg. And notice it tried to bounce right in there, and we ended up getting our break there and moving a little bit lower. So um, that turned out to be a great trade. And then this one here is like a double top. Well, there is a double top there, but what I liked about this one, even though there's a little lower low here, this is like a little two-legged pullback to the EMA. It's the first break of this uh, channel working down. But what I really liked was this thing went higher for it. It kept trying to go lower below this bar, and then it turned and went up the outside, and then instantly turned down. And so just put a stop right there. You actually could consider going low below this one, but that is a huge bar, and it's real close to that low. So really, what you probably want to do is have your stop here, or maybe wait for it to break lower and drop a limit order. But you may get left behind on one like that. I just have my stop there if it comes all the way through in one bar. And that was another nice quick trade. And notice that we got all those, we got all that support there. So this is like a little failed break lower. I wouldn't take that first entry right there, but when you got a second entry long there on a failed second entry short, this far away from the EMA, I like that one because you've had your break and new low and you've got some support there. So this is like a little failed break lower. So I like that one. Just trying to get a scalp back to the EMA, back to the midline here maybe. But you did have the break of this one, so you're probably going to get a correction. But this thing just takes off. Look how it goes right through the EMA, pulls back. I don't know why I got, oh, this came from over here. I was going to say, I don't understand why I got two circles. But notice we're moving up. This was the first break. I don't like going long into that little double top with no more room than that, especially on a first entry. Um, and then we pushed up here and failed. Look at that reversal bar, that little matching double top way away from the EMA. That's a second entry short. Um, I like that one. At that point, um, that's when I first drew the trend line. I had it down here, but as we got a little more price action, I moved it higher. Um, I believe that it's more right there, and you can get the equal distance stuff by doing it that way. But at that point, I liked going short there because I really thought that was the trend line. Probably setting the trend line, but it's probably going to at least pull back to the EMA. It's a big bearish bar. Um, you actually get a second entry long here, but look how we move through the EMA. So I don't like going long right there. I think you got to wait. And then it comes up and it makes a double top. You could consider going short right here. This is similar to a failed second entry long. And that really did confirm, even if you had your trend line here originally. So if you wanted to take that one on a little more aggressive trade, the only problem is it's a first entry and it's not, you got to scalp out of it, but you could treat it like a double top and a failed second entry long and maybe a confirmation. So if you saw all of that, then I'm okay with making that one. Um, I'll just make it green based on conditions. If you saw what was going on there, like I just talked about, then that's okay. But you're better off to wait on this one because then you get your double test of that. Uh, it lets you adjust the trend line a little bit, and you get a little bit higher entry. Um, this line right here, I did not have there at that time. I moved that later in the day. I had the line way down here. Actually, I really thought it was going to be. You could have it in both places. I kind of adjusted it up after we got the higher closes. But at that point, I had this line right here, and so you got plenty of room to get out. And again, this one takes off. And at this point, when we start lower again, you get this measured leg, and you want to look for a possible measured leg here. Of course, we never get that far. You can see, but that's what I would have been looking for. But you got to be leery of this support across here at the same time until it starts acting as resistance instead of support. You got to respect it. So, but that's what I would have been looking for at that point. And this turns out to be a pretty nice trade. And then you get a break here and a push to a new low. But this turns down right off the trend line again, a big bearish bar. Uh, that's really similar to this. It's almost like a repeat pattern. It's still two legs back and it comes off that trend line. So I like entering on that one. Um, you might have considered using a limit order, letting it break first and then dropping a limit order. But with that big bearish bar coming right off that trend line, I'd go ahead and put me up. Just enter that on the sell stop. This was a pretty good trade. And then you get the little breakout pullback short right here. Again, it broke higher and then turned and went out the other side. It gives you a second entry short here, but notice how close this is to that low. You don't have a lot of room there. It works. So if you enter this one, you need to use a limit order. Make sure you got enough room to get out before you get to that low. Otherwise, I would stay away from that one. Your entry was really here, your best entry. And then I've got another trade here. When you had this double bottom and this pushes through there and then reverses instantly and gives you that kind of reversal bar, that's probably going to be good back to at least the trend line, the EMA, because you're going to trap some people there, and it's a little failed break below that double bottom. So if you want to be aggressive, I'm okay with you going long right there. You definitely don't want to go long into this one right at the trend line, but look what happens. It pushes on through the EMA, pulls back. You get a failed second entry short there, which generally is going to lead to a winning trade if you take the opposite. It's tempting to go short right there. You can't really, because you got this trend line here and everything's still above it. And you can see this little channel. Prices are fitting real neatly in that. So you're taking a real chance going short there above that EMA. I think you're better off to wait and see what happens. You're not necessarily looking for a reversal because that's the first break of this trend line. But, maybe this trend line's not legit. I think it is, but maybe it's not. So you got to be real careful going short there. And I don't really like going long because you don't have your signals to go long yet. That's the first break of the trend line, so you could get trapped there. And at first it looked like it was going to trap people, but it ended up pushing on up and working out. So it's a little bit aggressive, but if it's a failed second entry short. At that point, you'd think we may come back and test these highs up here. And so there's enough reasons to be aggressive to take that long. It's a bounce right off the trend line. It pretty much confirms it is failed second entry short. But there's enough reasons not to get tricked there to also skip it. So I'm going to mark that one as aggressive. And you do get a break and a new high here, but you don't have a very good signal bar. You could have waited on a break below this one. But your stop still has to go way up here. And then you're right in the EMA. So it's not very good setup. It does pull back here, but then look at all those three neutral bars. The lows, some support is right here. You don't have a whole lot of room. So I don't think you can even take that one, at least not on my chart. If you had a little better setup than that on your chart, then, maybe you consider. But you still got the support here. So you got to try to get in with a limit order, and I think if I remember right, this thing just dropped down real fast. But needless to say, I don't think you want to go short there. You definitely don't want to go short or long right here. But when you get this little, let me move this out of the way. When you get this little, it looked like it was really bearish, but then all of a sudden it shoots back up. So you might have considered taking a long right there. It's really aggressive. It's not a great setup, but there's some reasons to consider going long right there. I think your better play is right here. And notice here, it never broke lower here, but notice how it pushes through the EMA and it pulls back and it tests it twice. and then it bounces right off that EMA. That's close enough to treat that like a failed second entry short. It's a double test rule. There's a few different reasons to like that to the long side. You've had your break here at a new low, um, and now you're making higher highs and higher lows. So I'm okay with going long on that one, at least looking for it to come back up and test this high. I don't think you want to go long into that resistance right there, and it would have worked, but you can't. You just got to skip that one. And you do get a close outside here and a push to a new high, and you get a little double top there with a trap. I didn't mark this one, but really you could mark this one green because it did break higher and make that double top and turn down, and there's a good bit of room there, but you never know, it might hit that area right there and bounce again. So it's a little iffy, but I'll give that one a green one looking at it after the fact. There's enough reasons there. There's a lot better trades here today than to take something like that, but might have considered that one. There's no reason not to at least make that one aggressive. Um, and then we kind of push down. We push through the EMA, not far, and then we pull back, and then you just get another neutral bar there, and it closes back above this line here. So it's still not clear whether this is still, there's still a fight here to see if this is going to continue to act as resistance or if it's turning into support. So again, you don't have a very good signal bar, and I just don't think you want to take that short. It turned out to be a nice trade, but you can't risk that because the next time you take it, it'll do like this. It'll go a few ticks in reverse on you and stop you out. So um, this gave you your first break. We didn't quite get a new low, and then it pulls back and gives you a little better entry. I've got a pretty good signal bar there. Then you get enough room to get out before you get here. So I like that entry. And that's really all it gave you was a scalp. And that's right at getting right into the 2 o'clock hour. So it's real close. But I went ahead and marked it. It's a second entry short when you're looking for a retest of the low. And it's really kind of coming off resistance there as well. So I like that setup. Um, hopefully you're done well before then. But some people can't trade all the hours, and so we want to show that trade. And somebody asked me occasionally why I only show trades between 7 and 2, and that's 7 and 2 Central Standard Time, which is my time. And the reason I only show those trades is because there's usually outside of that, it's not wise to trade. Anything earlier than about 7 o'clock, you may have enough volume by 6:30, but I think 7 o'clock's a safe time that you've got enough volume to trade and the market's starting to move. And to do what we do here, scalping, you got to have sufficient volume. If you don't, you can have too much slippage, and you can have a perfectly good trade that costs you money because there's too much slippage. So we only do this between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the reason I say 2 p.m., really my drop dead cutoff is 2:30. That's what I used to teach, but I think you're better off to be out by 2. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. One is the market gets a little crazier after 2 o'clock. There's people that are trying to get out of trades, all the day traders have to be out by 3 o'clock, 3:15 or whatever it is now. I never even get close to that anymore, so I don't worry too much about it. But used to, and it may be different with each broker, but you got to be out before the market closes in the afternoon, and you need to know your broker's rules. Generally, they want you to be out 15 minutes or so before the close, or they'll kick you out. And if you have a broker that doesn't kick you out, then they're going to change your margin to full margin, and it's not considered a day trade because you're carrying it into the next trading session. So you need to know your broker's rules. Most of them are going to kick you out around 3 or 3:05, something like that. So I like to say you need to be out of the market by about 2 o'clock because you get those people in there that are holding trades and they start exiting, and sometimes you get some great moves sometimes after 2 o'clock, but I don't think it's worth hanging around. Most of the time it's like this right here, and you don't have much at all going on, and it's swinging back and forth and so forth, and I think you're better off to be out by 2. So that's the reason I say 7 to 2 o'clock. One other thing I wanted to show, somebody asked me yesterday, occasionally I'll talk about adding on taking a trade, and before you've actually scalped out of that, you add on another one, and they were wanting to know about the orders. Well, just in case you didn't know, with NT, you can move your orders around. And so if you add on, just, you can, what I normally do, let's say I have an order to enter at 2073.75. So that means my exit would be, for my scalp part, would be 2074.75. And so let's say I get a chance to add on, and the next entry is, it'll be before 4 ticks if I happen, or else I'll already be out of mode. So let's say I add the other one at 24.75. What I will do is I will change my target for this trade to the same, to the scalp for this one. So in other words, I won't close these. I'll just move my order real quick and combine them. And what I'll do is I'll move my exit order for this trade to where the exit order will be for this one. So this one will still be the 4 ticks, which would be 25.75, but I would make this one 25.75. And my runners I would leave my runners to work off of this trade. So my stop would move up with a stop for this trade. Hopefully that makes sense. So and once you get your orders up there, what it does, it treats it like two separate pieces. So you can combine, you can just click on these orders and move them. See, I'm moving that around. You can do that with your exit orders. And what I'll do is the ones I won't combine, I'll just slide it up, and there, and you got one order. So it's real simple. You don't have to do a whole lot of stuff to change it. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully that's helpful for the person that asked that. But that's how I usually do my add-ons. And you don't do that a lot, but occasionally you'll get these great setups. And this is a case of one that, this is a good example of one that might. This one wasn't because of this resistance here, but if you enter a failed second entry like this and you go long right there, and then it pulls back and gives you another entry, and it's in a trend, you'd probably want to add on right there, and that would have been a good example of one. But this was not a good one because it's right into that resistance right across there, and you don't want to risk two entries in there. You've already got one that backed up quicker than you thought it was. But a lot of times you'll get one like right here. This might be a good example. You'll enter here and it doesn't get your scalp, and then it pulls back and bounces again, and you've got, you're going higher. You might add on right there. This is one you might have added on. This was not a good example either because the bias was down here, but let's say we're trending down, and this might have been a good one to add on if you were right here and you didn't scalp out and it pulls back. This one's a little more aggressive, but that's one that you might add on if you've got plenty of room here to scalp out. So I hope that's clear. I don't want to get in too deep and start confusing people. A lot of times when I start talking about adding on and stuff, you start confusing the newer people, and they need to be concentrating on just finding the trend and the trend lines and the basic entries, and then next thing you know, they're trying to find failed second entry shorts, and they can't even find a second entry short to begin with, and so it just really complicates it until you start to, you want to get the basics down first, and then some of this stuff's a little more progressed for traders that are a little further along. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. It's been a couple of good days back. I hope I hope you had a good week, and hope you had. I mean, there were some good trading days before I came back, so I hope y'all were able to take advantage of those. But if you're not there yet, keep working on it. Keep sim trading. Keep studying. The key to this, and I say this a lot, and I'll say it again tonight before I call it a day, is that it's not your trading. You can come out here and trade every day, but if you don't do something with that chart at the end of the day by studying your trades, you're not going to get better. You're just going to come back tomorrow and do the same thing, and you'll keep doing that. And the way you improve, the quickest way to improve is to come out here and get as much screen time as you can every day, take as many trades as you can, trying to follow the rules as closely as you can. But the real work starts at the end of the day when you go back and you study and you look. First of all, you go through all of your trades and study them and see what you did right and learn from it. Then see what you did wrong and learn from that. And then after that, I'd take all my trades back off and I would just start at the very beginning and I'd look for all the entries just like I did right here. Come along and mark all the entries and study them. Study where this thing reversed right here. What happened here? What caused this to reverse? Why did this reverse and bounce here? Well, that's generally what happens if you know the rules. When you find a strong support and it breaks through and it reverses real quick, that's generally what the ES will do. It'll take a few tries before it'll move on down, unless it's a real strong trend, and then it will come back and test it and then continue on. And so you've got to do your study time. That's where your real work comes. You got to get as much screen time as you can as well, because the more screen time, the more studying you can do, the better you will get at this. And believe it or not, I still learn and get better at this with the more experience and more studying I do. And that's one of the reasons I do the chart lesson, because it forces me to come back and study the chart and look for all the trades during the part of the day that I wasn't trading. And it forces me to look closely at the chart to see where to find the setups. And so I continue to do this study. I continue to study every day, and I've been doing this for 10 years now almost. So I continue to get better, and I wouldn't have thought I could do that a few years ago, but the more you do this, the more experience you get. It's like anything. The more you do it, the more experience you get. The better you're going to get. Trading is no different. So anyway, this thing's getting on towards 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. Again, I'm not sure if there'll be a chart lesson tomorrow. Maybe, probably not. But if I do, it'll be there. It'll be there before probably 6 o'clock or so if I'm going to do one. So, but anyway, I hope you had a great week. We'll be back again to do it Monday for sure. And starting next week, we get into the holidays. I'm not sure what my holiday period is going to be like yet. I will not trade. There won't be chart lessons on, probably Thanksgiving Day and the Friday after. I haven't even looked at my calendar yet, but I believe Thursday is Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. And Wednesday sometimes might be a shortened day. I doubt it. It'll probably just be Thursday and Friday. So we'll talk about that Monday or Tuesday. So I'll figure out exactly what the holiday dates are, and we'll talk about that. But it will be a short week during the Thanksgiving week. But I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.